So the infamous Kopite 7 Kimi is back with some alarming news surrounding Nvidia's high-end RTX 40 series graphics card. Meanwhile, AMD is gearing up to release a new Navi 31 GPU that actually looks pretty intriguing, though it's only going to be available in select regions with very limited supply. Let's discuss that in this video. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on guys, Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. Talk about the timing. It's pretty funny how in my last video I talked about the possibility of Nvidia releasing the RTX 4090 Ti, and I did mention how I personally just don't see Nvidia releasing it because they have no motivation for it along with the lack of competition. Well, just recently, famous Nvidia hardware leaker on Twitter, Kopite 7 Kimi, posted a tweet stating what I had just talked about. The tweet said the following: "I'm afraid there won't be an RTX 4090 Ti anymore. Some low-grade 8103 and 8106 chips will be another version of the RTX 4070 and 4060. I'm assuming he's using a translator of sort because the wording there seems to be a little bit off. Now, Kopite's got a pretty good track record when it comes to Nvidia's leaks, so it's not something I would brush off lightly, and also when you think about it, this move just makes a lot of sense. Circling back to the competition aspect of it, there's just no need for Nvidia to release the RTX 4090 Ti because AMD can't release anything faster than an RX 7900 XTX. I know there's been some rumors surrounding the possibility of them releasing an RX 7950 XTX, but when you take into consideration of the specs that the 7900X already has, it's using the full Navi 31 die. All they can really do is overclock the 7900 XTX, give it a higher power / voltage limit, and use faster memory. Remember, the RX 7900 XTX is still using GDDR6, and they can use faster GDDR6X, though I'm not entirely sure if that would require a significant overhaul to the memory controller, and if so, AMD probably isn't interested in investing more money into it. The 4090 Ti would have been targeted towards a really niche crowd anyways. Only the hardcore fanboys and the nerds who simply just wanted the best of the best that's available on the market right now, and money is an issue for them, would buy this card. That would include a number of people offloading their RTX 4090s for this, but again, it's a small crowd. Now, a different perspective you can look at is not from the consumer segment, but also Nvidia's data center and AI business. We've seen over the past year how much Nvidia has embraced the growth in AI. In fact, they have been one of the major contributors in this area. The gaming market used to be Nvidia's bread and butter. That's no longer the case. If Nvidia sees an opportunity in a different market to drastically increase revenue, they'll definitely take it. During the crypto mining boom, they were directly selling to miners as they were buying large quantities of GPUs, because at the time, if you weren't mining with your GPUs, you were basically leaving money on the table, and miners were after whatever GPUs they could get their hands on. Nvidia publicly took the stance that they were against mining, but it was just a PR stunt. When they released LHR GPUs, which were supposed to have their mining capabilities nerfed, they didn't really prevent miners from taking supply away from regular consumers since it was easily bypassed, and they did also release special mining GPUs, so if they were really against it, then they wouldn't have done that. Though after mining died, it was clear Nvidia still wanted to maintain and charge those higher prices, but it didn't seem like they had any good reasons to. But then we saw a shift in the industry towards AI, which, if you had been following the tech space for a while now, shouldn't come as a surprise. Long before 2022, Nvidia was already quite invested in AI, and then once we saw large language models like GPT-3 make their way to consumers, apps integrating machine learning, and more, Nvidia was at the forefront of all of this. With companies placing orders worth billions, Nvidia would be smart to allocate the limited wafer supply towards building AI GPUs for the data center. It's a no-brainer, rather than use it to sell GPUs that would cost, what, $2,000, $2,500 MSRP towards an extremely niche market, or use those wafers and build GPUs worth $30K. So no surprise that the RTX 4090 Ti is allegedly cancelled. The 4090 right now is sitting uncontested. I don't think this decision really had anything to do with AMD to begin with, as Nvidia doesn't even consider them to be competition at this point. Circling back to Kopite's tweet, I wanted to also discuss the second part of that tweet where he talks about there would be newer versions of the 4070 using an 8103 chip and a 4060 using 8106. I don't think Nvidia would release any new versions of those cards as faster models. Maybe they could come up as a special variant, a super refresh or whatever, but I'm doubtful. I just think it's them just utilizing the bigger dies for these smaller cards. If they have an excess in supply, they probably do. Similar to how Nvidia made an RTX 2060 KO, which used the same die as the RTX 2080. Following that tweet, Kopite mentioned that they have confirmed with multiple sources which have said Nvidia's next gaming flagship, also known as Ada Next, will have a 512-bit memory bus. This would be a pretty significant change from what's being being used with the current gen flagship, the RTX 4090, as that GPU uses a 384-bit bus. Along with that, given the possibility of these next gen cards using Samsung's new GDDR7 memory, the memory bandwidth on this GPU would be crazy high, perhaps around 2 terabytes per second. Now, the RTX 50 series isn't coming to market for a while now, and there were rumors circulating a while back that Nvidia had delayed it to Q1 2025 rather than do their usual 2-year cycle. As for the larger memory bus, that's cool and all, but hopefully this will mean that lower tiered cards will also finally get appropriate specs. It doesn't really matter what the high-end card has, it'll always have impressive specs, but along with that, you'll get the high price tag, and it's going to be targeted towards niche users. But imagine if Nvidia releases a 32GB RTX 5090 with a 512-bit bus, and then they release an RTX 5070, and it uses 6GB of VRAM with a 96-bit bus. Sounds hilarious, right? But look at the RTX 4060 series. And they'll also have some other gimmick on top, RTX IO, Uber GPU decompression algorithms. With the help of AI, they'll convince users that you don't need hardware, just let the AI do heavy lifting now. It doesn't matter what the flagship has, the vast majority of buyers are buying lower tiered cards in that $200 to $400 segment. Moving on, and I wanted to shift the focus over onto AMD as it looks like they have unveiled a new graphics card that will be entering the RX 7000 family of GPUs. However, this GPU won't be available as widely as you might expect. AMD unveiled the RX 7900 GRE at a gaming event in China, and their Chinese marketing team has confirmed it will be available globally on July 28th with an MSRP of $649. There were 3 custom models shown off at the event, however it seems like for the DIY space, only these Chinese markets will have it available, whereas for the rest of the world, they will only be available through system integrators, so apparently it's not going to be available off the shelf. As for specs, it seems like it'll be a further cut down Navi 31 GPU with 80 compute units, lower clock speeds than the RX 7900 XT, 16GB of G6 memory on a 256-bit bus, and a TDP of 260 watts. As for benchmarks, some Chinese tech media have already benchmarked it, and it seems to sit between an RTX 4070 and RX 7900 XT. Personally, I don't care that this card won't be readily available in North America because it's not even that great of a deal to begin with if you think about it. It's just okay at best. Even if it was available, people would still continue to buy RTX 4070s over this card because of Nvidia's mindshare. If AMD had released this card as an RX 7800 and sold it for around $500, then that would garner a lot of interest from consumers in this space. Unfortunately for AMD, that is what it's going to take for them to move the needle. Oh, and on top of that, we can't forget how you can still buy last-gen RDNA 2 GPUs like a 6950 XT or 6900 XT for cheaper than both a 4070 and 7900 GRE. What I find peculiar though is how in their marketing they clearly position this card as a successor to the RX 6800 XT, and they have official benchmark slides pitting the two cards together, so why not just call this card a 7800 XT? Either way, as a generational uplift, it's pretty garbage. I mean, we've seen performance regression from Nvidia, but this is still bad nonetheless. Furthermore, this GPU has specs which are very similar to the 6950 XT, and its performance aligns very closely. Remember when AMD said that RDNA 3 would bring greater than 50% performance per watt? That was a total big fat lie. RDNA 3 barely improved upon RDNA 2, and that to me is just a failure of a generation. It shouldn't have been called RDNA 3 because what it actually turned out to be was RDOA 3. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.